Alright, this is JD here. Welcome to my channel. This is an H145 Airbus helicopter in firefighting mode. So I've done a bunch of setup stuff here. I selected a mission for firefighting, and you can see it on my tablet on the side here. It's a nearby mission. I had some issues. I think I had the autopilot. The autopilot buttons are over here. I had AP1 and AP2 on, and there's some redundancy there. I had the auto trim running. It's fine. I got the map over here. I selected the map here on the display on the left hand side. Engine controls, engine data in the center, and then I'm up to my torque of 102, probably a little high in the on my display. I also kind of wung it. I didn't go through my checklist properly, but I started the engines without a problem. And the main thing here I realized is the fuel. I need to use the prime pumps to start, and then I turn the transfer pumps on and turn the prime pumps off to start the engine. I got my lighting on here, and let's go. And this aircraft then it's got a bucket it hauls, but you got to fill it up with water first. So I got to go find some water probably. And there's water over on the south hand side. I'm taking off of Toronto International Airport, and so let's just take a look at the aircraft from the outside. There it is there, beautiful aircraft. Some scenery on the sides here. Some dude waiting for me to get out of here, take off. Anyway, this is the Airbus H145 aircraft in firefighting configuration. So I do have to find some water though, or else firefighting isn't of much use. I'm just going to try to take off nice and easy. And I know when I get to a certain altitude, I can go into a hover mode here, but it doesn't work until I can do an autopilot lock here and hover. So I just come up here like this, and then all this becomes active. But I'm not going to bother doing it. I'm flying fairly well right now, so don't mess with it, right? So I think I've got to, I'm not going to bother taxiing off. I'm just going to cut across the runway here, and you can see me taking off right now with the bucket. Got some bucket stuff happening. I'm just going to fly by my point here. There I am. Let's jump back in the aircraft. Lost a little control there, but that's no problem. I'm back inside. Whenever you flip to one of those views, it kind of screws you up a bit. So the fire is there, but I want to fly to go get some water, because putting out a fire with no water is not much sense, is it? So the bucket does weigh more, so the helicopter will fly a bit differently with the bucket. So let's just get some forward flight happening here, so I kind of know where the heck I'm going. I think I can see Lake Ontario there. And I got the Tobii eye tracker on, so whenever I move my eyeballs, it actually moves my vision. It's got a % eyeballs and % head set, and I got it mostly set to track with my head and not my eyes. So I'm flying, I believe, towards the water. So we're going to pick up some water and then get back on our track. And I'm going to fly close to Toronto, but hopefully not cause any problems. So this is a very detailed model. So you turn my head here, and I'm able to see the 401 or the 407. I'm not sure which highway that is. But there's Toronto over in the distance. That's probably more. It's west of Toronto, so it's not Toronto. And Burlington's over on this side over here, or Hamilton perhaps. I'm pretty high up, so I don't really know. So I've got airspeed of 120, and I'm just flying down this way. And there's some water here. I won't get too high with my altitude. There is a bit of a difference when you're flying and you've got the bucket, so it tends to feel differently. So I've got to get over the water, then I've got to hover and then lower myself to pick up water. And here's what I look like from the outside. And there's the bucket. And I'm sure that's causing all kinds of drag in flight mode. So normally you wouldn't want to have to go too far. I think you'd probably go to your location where the lake is, deploy the bucket, and then pick the water up and go towards the fire. So here they're deploying the bucket right on the runway at the Toronto International Airport, which is kind of crazy, right? So I still have a yellow light here where it's telling me my cargo hook is off. So I didn't even know I had a cargo hook, so I won't need it. There's another one of the highways here. I'm trying to think. That might be the 407 going towards Burlington, coming up right there. And slow down a bit because I'm going to get close to the water here, and I just want to dip the bucket into. There's Frank there, my co-pilot, or is it Kevin? I think it's Kevin actually today. So there's my knees. And I'll just wiggle my feet a bit. So there you go. That's my feet. Oh, there's a golf course down there. So maybe I've played this course. Not sure. I've played Eagle's Nest, where they have the Titleist training center. So that's a pretty cool golf course. So I'm getting close to the water. I don't want to waste too much time. So I'm just pushing down on my collective here, just reducing my power, and I just have to make sure that I don't end up going down too fast. These helicopters, if you end up going to zero and your collective's still going down, you can get in a problem. So you got to control your engines. I believe the H145, your engine speed, or your TOT or whatever, is controlled the same time you're controlling the pitch on your rotor blades. So some helicopter pilot up there can correct me to see if I'm accurate or not, but I'll look it up. I'll just ask people at work tomorrow who've flown this aircraft in real life. So we'll see what their answer is. They'll probably tell me, stop flying simulators and go back to the office. So right now I'm hovering, and I'm trying to get a little bit of forward speed here so I can get over the water. Without crashing, of course. Alright, there we go. Now I'm just going to try to lower the aircraft very slowly, because if I don't do that, I'm going to crash. I think the bucket catches up with the aircraft, and then you get in a situation where you're playing engine speed versus bucket versus whatever. So I'm keeping an eye on my altimeter here to make sure I don't get in trouble. I'm trying to lower myself slowly here. I might want to put on the autopilot here. There we go. And then speed up a bit. So there, I've got it in autopilot here, just refocusing here, and I'm above the water. So if I step out of the aircraft for a second, there I am. There's the bucket. Now I should be able to lower this bucket slowly into the water. I got a good outside view here. It goes into the water, then I got to go up again. This is a little tougher because we've got now the weight of the bucket with the water, so and it does account for that. So I'm pulling this up right now. Let me just jump back in the aircraft here before I get in trouble. And now, so that was a successful pickup of water. So I'm trying to stay out of the red with the torque on the engine. I'm going to fly back to where I think the fire is. So I can actually see a fire in the horizon there. So let's get a little bit of airspeed here. A little forward speed with the water. And I should be back on my track soon. So let me just look over here. I'm kind of floating around here. And I don't want to over torque, so I'm keeping an eye on my engine, my controls. So this will tell me if I'm over torquing. If I look right over there, it tells me whether I'm over torquing or not. And I'm still picking up some altitude here because I've got to fly above a lot of stuff. So, and here I am with the bucket again. I find if I'm stepping out of the aircraft to look at stuff, that's when I kind of get in trouble a bit. I'm over torquing here at 79.5. You can see my torque right there. And I should lower it a bit so I don't, there we go. Whenever you see red in an aircraft, there's problems. So, and they design these aircraft so the pilot actually reacts to emergencies or cautions and has to press buttons, has to do things to actually get out of trouble. So again, I can take any comments you guys want to fling at me. If you can see over in the map on this side, Just try not to get too distracted. You can also see the fire over in the map over here, which is kind of cool. I didn't know it would do that. So this is a high performance group, H145 aircraft with missions, and I'm in the firefighting aircraft, which is super cool. So, and I turned off my air traffic control so I could just do this. When I approach this fire, I'm gonna try to hover over the fire, try to put on the autopilot in hover mode. I do have it mapped to a button. You can see how the aircraft kind of moves around right now with this bucket. It's not flying as it would normally fly when you're carrying a load underneath it, and they've dynamically modeled this really nicely, so it's making it difficult for me to fly, but I'm still doing it. And as well, I've got, like I said, my Tobii eye tracker, so I also have the main trigger, pickle button, whatever you want to call it, on the stick set to re-establish the Tobii eye tracker, so just in case it drifts while it's watching my head, or if I lean back too far like this, you see I'm disappearing here, and I shouldn't be disappearing. So, and somehow I'm also not sitting in the seat anymore. That's interesting. Maybe I went back to the toaster that all pilots love to have in aircraft, but not in helicopters typically. So I know that the P3 Orion has got a toaster for the aircrew because they spend 12 hours flying. So here's a road here. I believe that's the highway that goes up to the Great Lakes as well, Lake Erie. Remember the number of that highway, but cutting across that highway, I think, is the 401. So I should know this because I've been through Toronto a million times. So it's well mapped in this version of Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. Is a beautiful model. Flight Sim 2024 is coming out soon. I'll have to get that because it's supposed to be even better. And of course, just keep spending money on flight sims over the years. I am flying a 4090 video card, NVIDIA 4090, and I'm flying my computer is a 7850 X3D chip in there, so it's about the best one you can get for gaming. I get 64 gigs of RAM, onboard RAM, and I've got two terabyte SSD cards in this computer. So this computer is about the best one that you could buy at the time. I picked it up around 3 months ago, I think. So this is a very, very high-end computer. That's all I have to say. So here comes the fire. I'm going to slow down just a bit because I'm a rookie at the firefighting in this helicopter, so I don't want to end up crashing or something. I know I got to slow down to get to the right speed to approach the fire. Then I got to go into hover mode, and probably not a smart thing for me to be going too low into the flames. What's also neat with the Tobii eye tracker is you move your head around, as you can see, it's free flow. If I go, I can actually look out at my pitot tubes just a bit. There we go. There's an outside view, which is kind of cool. Stick my head out the window of the aircraft and look down. Look, I can see my house from here. It's amazing. So there you go. The technology today is crazy. I remember the first Microsoft Flight Sim I flew back in 1987, 88, probably 88. It was Microsoft Flight Sim version whatever on a 286 computer. It didn't do half the stuff that they do nowadays. It's just so incredible. And the realism is there. So there's simulator companies that actually use this flight sim to train pilots on I'll say procedures training. So because you can simulate engine failures, you can simulate control failures, you can simulate a lot. So I'm almost right over the fire, so I'm going to slow down a lot here and see if I can go into autopilot. If I can manage to go into autopilot, I can beat the aircraft forward, and I'll show you how that's done in a second once I get down here. So keeping an eye on my throttle because it didn't like that move. So it's kind of being very picky right now. So if I go into auto right now, is that going to work? So right now I'm gone into autopilot hover mode, and if I click on here, yeah, so it's saying GTG. So if I do altitude hold and I do hover hold here, So now there's the fire, you can see there, right there. Now, you should be able to beep the aircraft forward, and I'm not sure how well that'll work, but let me see, I put this on here, and this is altitude, and this will beep me forward. So if I basically go like this, it should beep me forward. So I'm not sure how well that'll work with this aircraft, because I'm kind of too far away from the fire. So if I stay in altitude mode and forget beeping, I'll just use my stick here to push myself forward a bit to try to get over the fire. So right now I don't want to go out of autopilot, and there's the fire, so I need to get closer to it. Right over it would be nice. So here we go, I'm going forward a bit, picking up a little speed, just a bit, and I'm telling you that canvas bag causes issues with respect to control of the aircraft. So I'm going to get right over the top of this fire and see if I can drop my load on top of the fire and extinguish this fire. So here we go. Getting pretty friggin' close right now. So here I could likely beep this forward. And see if I can do that. I grab my mouse here. Yeah, it's not beeping really well, so I'll just keep going like this. I'll just keep trying to use my my cyclic here to push it forward a bit, and you can see it moving. Try to stay over the fire. I don't want to get too fast. If I do that, I miss the fire, but I also don't want that bag to cause me problems. And I've got it on altitude hold right now, so there we go. I get a little bit of forward velocity, and let's just get over the fire a bit here as much as I can. There we go. You can see the aircraft going sideways and stuff when I try to maneuver it with this big bag in the bottom of my aircraft, right? So there we go. I'm just going to sit it here for a second. And I really don't know where the fire is right now. I'm trying to think it's right below me, but let's just stop the aircraft here. And there we go. And the autopilot's holding it, so if I look out the window, do I have a fire below me? There it is there. So I'm pretty close to where I need to be. Let me step out of the aircraft for a second and see if it can. There it is there. I still think I need to go forward a bit, but I don't want to lose altitude. So there's the fire right there. I'm kind of right over the fire right now, so let me see if I can somehow not burn myself here and hold my altitude. And we hold my altitude, and then I want to drop the payload here. Dump the basket and look outside. Did that work? I hit dump basket. Is it putting the fire out? Yes, it is. That's too bad I couldn't get the visual on that, but I did dump the basket, and there we go. The fire is now out. So I jump back in the helicopter, and I'm going to find my way back, so I'm going to put my map on here. Just grab that map here, and I think I want to, it loves the fact that I've done the mission, so I can dismiss submitting the report, which is fine, or I could submit the report. There we go. So the report's submitted, and now let's just get some, let's turn off my autopilot. So you click right up here in the top, and you got your autopilot altitude hold is on. So there we go. Let's get some altitude here, turn that off, get back to the map, and now I can fly safely and find some place to land. So if I could find the airport, then I'd land there, and then if I just backtrack from where I was, I should be able to find the airport. So let's get the attitude of the helicopter right and fly back. So that was kind of fun and successful at the same time. But learning how to hover over the fire is tricky. Normally you can beep it over the fire when you've got the autopilot and you've got the altitude. It's barometric altitude hold I was using as opposed to the rad alt. And you can typically control yourself very carefully. I know in the H101 aircraft, the Cormorant up here in Canada, the guys in the back, when they're doing search and rescue, they have control through a joystick. I think it's 10 knots control, but they can maneuver the helicopter right over where the target is, the patient is, so they can control it when they're out at sea. So the pilot gives the SAR techs in the back, search and rescue technicians in the back, control of the aircraft so they can maneuver it right over the target and lower the hoist. That aircraft has 2 hoists on it, so it has a backup hoist, and if you have a trouble with the hoist being snagged up on a ship, then you can guillotine the hoist. So here I don't know if there's a guillotine button for the bag that I'm carrying. I know there's probably a name for that bag, but again, correct me on that thing. So if I look at the controls, it might have the name for the bag. Let me look at that while we're floating around. They call it dump bucket. So it's called a Bambi bucket. There you go. Bambi bucket is attached to the helicopter. So I could probably take the Bambi bucket off the helicopter. And there's a hoist there as well. It's a manual hoist. Let me fold this in for a second so I fly towards the airport. I can see the runways here, so I'm just going to find somewhere to land near the runway. It's funny in this flight sim, because you've got the bucket kind of holding on to it's just attached to the aircraft, the bucket actually disappears on the runway, which is pretty funny, right? So, but I got to come in here nice and easy and not. So where I'm looking right here, so I can make sure that my altitude, I'm not losing altitude here. So I want to bleed off speed and not lose altitude. So if I pull up a bit, I will go up, but I'm able to bleed speed off in a helicopter. So, but when I get down to 20 knots or so, I got to make sure I've got the collective is still doing a good job keeping me from crashing, because I can over or under torque, or whatever you want to call it, and get in trouble. So I'm keeping an eye on my engine speed. Doesn't make much difference when I'm going forward motion. The second I hover, that's when I can get in trouble. So I'll find a place to land right here. Doesn't really matter. I don't have a selected landing area that I can think of. So I can go down low enough and hover, and then find the terminal and find some place to land. There's the terminal there. Maybe I should land where the terminal is. Be a good boy here. But again, I don't want to get too much forward speed right now that I'm going nicely, so I lowered a little bit. There's an aircraft, it's a 4-engine something or other, and it just disappeared. How the hell did that happen? Now I've noticed that when you're flying an aircraft in Microsoft Flight Sim and you're demonstrating to people on YouTube, if you have a British accent, more people will watch you fly. So I don't have a British accent, and I don't know if you people think that I've got a Canadian accent, because I don't say a lot that I think of. So maybe I do, but I don't think I do. So here we go. We're coming down towards the tarmac here. I'm coming in. I'm hovering basically right now, but I'm coming in very slow. A controlled approach here. I'm just going to bring it forward here towards the tarmac. Now you have a GT, what's it called? There's basically a ground taxi mode on this aircraft, I think. I also fly the 160, and the 160 for sure has a ground taxi mode. But I'm getting better at hovering, so I'll just take it forward on my own a little bit, and then see if I can put the aircraft down. I didn't bring the landing gear up because it doesn't have any. So it's got skids on it and not landing gear. So the 160 does have landing gear, so you got to keep an eye on that. So again, I'm watching my altitude, I'm watching the ground, using it as a reference point. Let me bring it forward a bit. There's no doubt right now that that bag is inside of the runway, but I just want to complete this mission by landing it, and maybe I'll get close to that open gate there, and then the air traffic control and the ground control guys will give me shit for going close to a gate, right, with a helicopter. Not a smart move, buddy. Why did you do that? You're going to take away my license here. My license to fly is officially gone. But the Tobii eye tracker is friggin' amazing. Actually, I should land right here. There's a van that can drive me to the terminal. So let me just put the aircraft down right here. Right here, I said. All Alright, so the aircraft's on the ground. Let's step outside really fast, have a look at it. Thing of beauty. There's the terminal. Just have a look along. There's the tower. And I put it down here so I can swing myself around here. And that van that I had before just took off on me, so I no longer have the van. So let's just get inside the aircraft here. Have a look at the aircrew back here. There's the boys there, and there's a woman back there too, and those are all firefighters. So, and I can also open the door on this aircraft if I just believe I click down here to open the door. Where's that handle? Where's that handle? Right there. There it is. So open that door, and I can open the back door too. So when you look at it from the outside, you'll see that the door is open. Look at that. And you can also control the doors via the tablet as well. I can actually go here into my setup mode and go into here, and I control crew. I went and hit the wrong button again. The only problem with Tobii Eye Tracker is that it does track your eyes, so if you look somewhere else, it's going to point at somewhere else. So if you're doing point and click, you can have a problem. So I can open that other door and look outside really quickly, and you'll see the other door slid down, right? So that's kind of cool. And so the boys are ready to depart the aircraft. My fuel's at 83%. That's really good. Let me see what's going on here. Cargo hook, none. Everything is good. So let's shut the aircraft down. I'm going to put the engines in idle. I think I can take this up here, engine 1, engine 2 in idle. So I'll tell you what, I'll be a good boy. I'll turn them off. I'll turn them off the opposite way, right? So we put that from flight down to idle. I just turned it off all the way. And this engine here, let me get in closer here so I don't screw this up. Unlatch it, throw it down to idle. I think this is just in shutdown mode, which is fine. Now if I look up here, I can see if there's a ground cart, like external DC on, DC receipt on. I think this will give me a ground cart. I'm not sure. Let me look outside and see if a ground cart showed up. Nope, no ground cart yet. Let me get back in here and see. I'm a little bit of a rookie on this particular aircraft, so normally I'd want external DC power, so no. So I can turn my transfer pumps off, but I don't want to starve the engine. Off. Strobe lights can go off. Where is my external cart? Yeah, I took my DC on, standby. Nope, that's not it. I can't find my ground cart up here, folks. So let's go back down here and turn off the engines. Good to see I got my legs back. See, I'm moving my feet here. So this engine's off. Turn this engine off, and then I can. These engines should be off, even though when I flip this thing over, it seemed to put the engine in flight mode. So let's just do this and turn the engine off, and do this and turn the engine off. And I know that when my speed gets down to 50 here, if I can find my rotor brake right here, I can turn that on. I think that's my rotor brake. Anyway, I need some. When this hits 50, then I think I can turn my rotor brake off. So engine 2 still seems to be running here for some reason. I think it didn't go into off mode. There we go. Engine 2's off, and there we go. The torque's down to nothing, and the blades are probably slowing down right now. There's a beautiful look at the aircraft model. Just phenomenal. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous aircraft. The H145 aircraft from Airbus. Airbus H145 from High Performance Group, HYPE. And I can see the blades are slowing down here. So now if I were inside here and I was a good boy, I'd just see if this is the rotor brake. I can't remember. No. Anyway, so there we go. That's it. So if I can shut down the batteries and everything else now, some good. Battery instruments off. That's off. Lights are off. I don't need to put my pumps on anymore. Turn off that. Turn off this. Turn my lights off. My landing light can be on, and my other lights are off, off, off. And my Tobii eye tracker, I'm just moving my head around to see if I can find stuff. I don't need my pitot-static. My pitot heat anymore is of no use. Off, off. And what else do I have on here? And these up here. Man, I'm going to reset my Tobii eye tracker here with my trigger and then come back up here again. And these need to be off too. Master, and there we go. So I turned enough off that it said see you later. So let's just continue here, and we're sitting in the aircraft right now, and let me just fold my tablet in here, and I thought the battery was off. Let me have a look here in a second. The battery is on, so I want to turn that off. There we go. So now I'm powerless, as they say, totally powerless. And I look down here and everything is fine. Shift over here. Yeah, I didn't really have to put a flight plan in here because it was already achieved, right? So close my door. I think my tablet is still charged, so I can still close the external door here. So I wonder if I can go for an external view really fast while I close this door. What do you think? I'm not fast enough. Anyway, that's it, folks. This is JD here. I do normally do watchmaking videos, but I love to fly simulators. This is the H145 by High Performance Group, and it is a gorgeous, gorgeous aircraft, people. A gorgeous aircraft. So thanks a lot, and I will see you later.